Cowboys. The Cowboys have had stars upon stars under center. Troy Aikman, Tony Romo, and Dak Prescott to name just a few. But Roger Staubach will forever reign supreme. A Navy vet with the nickname Captain Comeback, Staubach led Dallas to 4 Super Bowls in only 8 seasons, and is a huge contributor to Dallas's reputation as America's team. He could beat you in the pocket or take off on the run, earning the nickname Roger the Dodger for his scrambling skills. Staubach retired with an 85-29 record as a starter and a career passer rating of 83.4, ridiculously efficient for his era. Eagles. Booed on draft night, Donovan McNabb quickly turned the Philly crowd into believers. He led the Eagles to 8 playoff appearances and a Super Bowl trip, all while becoming the franchise's all-time leader in passing yards at 32,873 and touchdowns at 216. He made 6 Pro Bowls and holds the franchise record for the most 300-yard passing games at 27. He also ran for 3,459 yards and 29 touchdowns, showing off a rare dual-threat ability for his time. Giants. Eli Manning might have the personality of a potato chip, but his clutch gene was legendary. He beat Tom Brady's Patriots twice in the Super Bowl, one of which stopped New England from having a perfect season. He was also a Giants Iron Man. Eli started 210 straight games and retired as the franchise leader in passing yards at 57,023. He was also the franchise leader in touchdowns at 366 and the NFL record holder for the most fourth quarter touchdown passes in a single season at 15. Commanders. Joe Theismann took a winding road to greatness, including a pit stop in the CFL and years on the bench in Washington, but once he got rolling, he was unstoppable. He led the franchise to its first Super Bowl win in 1983. He racked up 25,206 passing yards and 160 touchdowns with the team, and in 1983 alone, he threw for 3,714 yards and 29 touchdowns, setting franchise single-season marks for both at the time. Bills. Jim Kelly never won the big one. In fact, he lost it 4 consecutive times, but his tenure with the Bills, especially from 1990 to 1993, was unforgettable. In just 11 seasons, Jim passed for 35,467 yards and 237 touchdowns, holding every meaningful team record when he retired, and was also one of the original shotgun no-huddle masters, orchestrating Buffalo's famous K-gun offense with absolute precision. While Josh Allen might have a run at the Bills' QB GOAT in the coming seasons, Jim is still definitely atop the list. Dolphins. Dan Marino never got a Super Bowl ring, but the way he threw footballs like Zeus chucking lightning bolts was nothing short of magic. In his 17-year career, he rewrote the NFL's passing record book, ending his tenure at a massive 61,361 yards and 420 touchdowns. He was the first player ever to throw for 5,000 yards in a season and threw 48 touchdowns that same year, a record that stood for 20 years. At retirement, he held over 40 NFL records and is considered to be one of the greatest pure passers of all time. Jets. Broadway Joe wasn't always accurate, but he had swag for days and delivered the Jets' only title just like he guaranteed. Joe Namath was the first QB to ever throw for 4,000 yards in a season in 1967, doing it in just 14 games. And while his career totals don't rank near the top of any all-time lists, he still finished with the Jets at 27,057 passing yards and 170 touchdowns. His swagger, combined with his Super Bowl #3 win, made him a cultural icon as much as a football legend, and easily the best Jet to ever do it. Patriots. Tom Brady didn't just break records, he shattered them. Over 2 decades in New England, he won 6 Super Bowls, threw for over 74,571 yards, and tossed 541 touchdowns. He also posted 219 wins as a starter and led the team to 17 division titles. Tom Brady was so good that he holds more all-time NFL records than WebMD has ways to convince you that you're dying. And with 46 game-winning drives and an NFL best 97.2 passer rating across 20 New England seasons, his status as the Patriots' GOAT is likely set in stone forever. 49ers. Calm, cool, and ruthlessly efficient, Joe Montana was the original clutch QB. He went 4 for 4 in Super Bowls and tossed 11 touchdowns with 0 picks in those games. He also holds the record for highest career passer rating in the Super Bowl at 127.8 and had 31 fourth quarter comebacks in his heyday. With nearly 40,000 yards and 2 MVPs, he made pressure look easy, which is what likely earned him the very fitting nickname of Joe Cool. Cardinals. Jim Hart might not be a household name, but in the 70s, he absolutely lit up defenses in St. Louis. Over 18 seasons, he threw for 34,639 yards and 209 touchdowns. He led the Cardinals to 3 playoff appearances and earned 4 Pro Bowl selections. At retirement, he ranked top 10 all-time in passing yards and touchdowns, and was the heart and soul of the team for over a decade. Rams. From stocking shelves to stacking MVPs, Kurt Warner's story is straight Hollywood. He led the greatest show on turf with laser precision and took the Rams to 2 Super Bowls, winning 1 and throwing for 4,830 yards and 36 touchdowns in his 1999 MVP campaign. Warner also became the fastest quarterback in history to reach 10,000 career passing yards in only 36 games. Seahawks. With a mix of deep bombs and scramble magic, Russell Wilson led the Seahawks to 8 playoff appearances, 2 Super Bowls, and 1 championship. He set the single-season record for passer rating by a rookie at 100 and became Seattle's all-time leader in yards at 37,059 and touchdowns at 292. He also ran for 4,689 yards and 23 scores. And while he might have the cringiest Subway advertisements to ever exist, that didn't stop him from dominating as a Seahawk since day one. Broncos. John Elway had one of the strongest arms in NFL history, and a Super Bowl narrative to match it. After losing his first 3 title games, the idea of being thought of as a bust pushed him towards a second win at age 37 that led to back-to-back titles to end his career. Elway finished with 51,475 passing yards, 300 touchdowns, an astonishing 148 career wins, and his 47 game-winning drives still rank among the best ever. Chargers. Phillip Rivers was just as good at having kids as he was at being a durable and legendary QB. He never missed a start in 224 straight games and never stopped slinging it for 13 Charger seasons either. He threw for 59,271 yards and 397 touchdowns during his time with the team, during which he led the NFL in passing yards in 2010 with 4,710 and ranked top 5 in touchdowns 6 times. Rivers also completed over 65% of his passes for 10 straight seasons, a model of high volume consistency that easily makes him the best Chargers QB to date. Chiefs. Mahomes is still writing his story, but it's already Hall of Fame worthy. In his first 6 seasons as a starter, he made 4 Super Bowl trips, won 3, and took home 3 MVP trophies. He already owns the highest career passer rating in NFL history, over 105, and has over 28,000 yards and 219 touchdowns before turning 30. He is so good that he has only ever played 2 road playoff games, because he's always the higher seed. The relevant question about Mahomes isn't whether he is the greatest Chiefs QB ever, but whether he is the greatest of all the QBs ever. Only time will tell. Raiders. Ken the Snake Stabler was cool under pressure and deadly in the clutch. He threw for 19,078 yards and 150 touchdowns with the Raiders, and won the league MVP in 1974. In 1976, he completed 66.7% of his passes, absurd for the time, and led Oakland to its first Super Bowl win. His 69-26-1 record as a starter remains one of the best in team history. Buccaneers. Yes, while Tom was only in Tampa for 3 seasons, that was enough to become the best QB ever in the Sunshine State. Brady threw for 14,643 yards and 112 touchdowns in only 50 games with the Bucs. He led the NFL in both passing yards and touchdowns in 2021 at age 44, becoming the oldest player to do so, and he won them their second ever Super Bowl in year 1. That's quite the first impression. Falcons. Matt Ryan owns every meaningful passing record in Falcons history and nearly delivered Atlanta its first title in 2016. He won MVP that year after throwing for 4,944 yards, 38 touchdowns, and only 7 interceptions. And at retirement, while his legacy might be most remembered for the worst Super Bowl choke of all time, with 59,735 passing yards and 367 touchdowns, Matty Ice is still an NFL legend. Panthers. Cam Newton was built like a linebacker, ran like a tailback, and threw fireballs like Johnny Storm. Cam ended his Panthers career with 29,041 passing yards, 182 touchdowns, and an NFL QB record 58 rushing touchdowns. Defenses couldn't stop him, especially near the goal line. And with the 2015 MVP season where he went 15-1 and a highlight reel longer than Oppenheimer, he is truly a Carolina legend. Saints. New Orleans made a risky bet on a short guy with a busted shoulder and won big. Drew Brees passed for 68,010 yards and 491 touchdowns as a Saint, including 5,000-yard seasons. For context, no other QB has more than 2. He completed over 70% of his passes in 4 separate seasons and retired as the league's all-time leader in passing yards and completions, just reinforcing how elite the incredibly talented Drew Brees was. Colts. Peyton Manning was a human playbook with an arm. With the Colts, he threw for 54,828 yards and 399 touchdowns, and led the league in passer rating 3 times. His 2004 season included a then NFL record of 49 touchdown passes, and with 4 MVPs, a 2006 Super Bowl victory, and 11 Pro Bowls on the Colts, no city on earth likely loves Peyton more than Indianapolis. Texans. It says a lot that Matt Schaub is still the Texans' greatest QB. He threw for 23,221 yards and 124 touchdowns with Houston, and posted a 4,770-yard, 29-touchdown season in 2009. He led the team to back-to-back playoff wins in 2011 and 12, and posted 3 seasons with a passer rating over 90. While his statistics are weak compared to other QBs in this video, Schaub still leads the team in nearly every major passing category, and can be seen as a diamond in the rough for a team with a very poor quarterback history. Titans. Before Tennessee, there was the Houston Oilers, and Warren Moon was their guy. He threw for 33,685 yards and 196 touchdowns with the Oilers, including 3 4,000-yard seasons. In 1990, he passed for a league-leading 4,689 yards and 33 touchdowns, and Moon's smooth deep ball and pocket poise made him one of the first truly elite black quarterbacks in NFL history. Jaguars. Mark Brunell was the Jaguars' first great QB, and yes, he is still their best. He passed for 25,698 yards and 144 touchdowns in Jacksonville, while rushing for 2,219 yards. In 1996, he led the NFL in passing yards at 4,367 and brought the Jags to the AFC title game in just their second season. He was a 3-time Pro Bowler and the team's offensive cornerstone. And while he might be a footnote in overall NFL history, he isn't in Jacksonville. Bears. The Bears QB room has slim pickings. They're the only NFL team without a 4,000-yard season from a QB. But if a passer has to be chosen, then it must be all the way back in the 1940s when Sid Luckman was slinging the football. Sid led the Bears to 4 titles in the 40s. He threw for 14,686 yards and 137 touchdowns in an era where most QBs were lucky to complete even half their passes. And in 1943, he threw 28 touchdowns in only 10 games. As a fun fact, he also had 17 interceptions as a defensive back. Lions. Matt Stafford's Lions resume is chock full of eye-popping stats, but unfortunately also with heartbreak. While Stafford couldn't find playoff success in Detroit, he did throw for 45,109 yards and 282 touchdowns, and lead 38 game-winning drives over 12 seasons. In 2011, he became the 4th QB ever to throw for over 5,000 yards, and for a brief moment in 2017, he was the highest-paid gunslinger in the league. He also holds the record for the most passing yards in a single game without an interception at 520. And while he was traded away to the Rams in his prime, Detroit fans love him all the same. Packers. Aaron Rodgers had big shoes to fill following a Green Bay legend in Brett Favre. But then he became one. He tossed 475 touchdowns compared to only 105 interceptions, an unheard of 4.5-to-1 ratio, and he also won 4 MVPs. He holds the NFL record for the lowest career interception percentage at 1.4% and the highest single-season passer rating at 122.5 in 2011. Rodgers also threw 40-plus touchdowns in a season 3 separate times and will be forever remembered in Green Bay as a legendary cheesehead. Vikings. Fran Tarkenton was doing Lamar Jackson stuff in the 60s before it was cool. He racked up 33,098 passing yards and 239 touchdowns in Minnesota and ran for 2,548 yards and 23 scores. He led the Vikings to 3 Super Bowls and retired as the NFL's all-time leader in passing yards, completions, and touchdowns at the time. Not bad for a guy who invented off-script plays. Bengals. Before gunslinging Joe Burrow, there was Ken Anderson. He threw for 32,838 yards and 197 touchdowns in Cincinnati and won the MVP award in 1981. That year, he led the Bengals to the Super Bowl and completed a then record 70.6% of his passes. He also led the league in passer rating 4 times and is still top 2 in most Bengals passing categories. While this title will likely pass over to Joe Shiesty within a few years, Ken remains the best Bengals QB to ever put on the leopard print. Browns. Otto Graham is likely the most underrated winner in NFL history. He went to 10 straight title games and won 7 of them, finishing with a career record of 57-13-1 as a starter. In 1953, he led the NFL in passing yards at 2,721 and touchdowns with 11. He also rushed for 99 yards and 2 more scores. He averaged over 9 yards per pass attempt across his career. While the Browns of late are remembered for being the biggest losers, that couldn't have been farther from the truth when Otto was around. Ravens. Lamar Jackson is so good that he turned "he's just a running back" jokes into MVP chants like it was nothing. In 2019, he threw for 36 touchdowns and ran for 1,206 yards, becoming the first QB to lead the league in touchdown passes and rushing yards in the same season. He's already passed for over 14,000 yards and rushed for 5,000 more, and he's the fastest QB to ever reach 5,000 rushing yards. Lamar has a strong career left to continue to cement his legacy, but as far as all-time Ravens QBs go, he is already atop the list. Steelers. Terry Bradshaw might have had a slow start, but he knew how to switch gears, because down the stretch, he won 4 Super Bowls in only 6 seasons. He threw 212 touchdowns for Pittsburgh and led 23 game-winning drives. And in the biggest moments like in Super Bowl 13, he passed for 318 yards and 4 touchdowns. While his regular season stats weren't the flashiest, he showed up when it mattered most. And at the end of the day, that's all you can ask for. If you like this video, YouTube thinks you'll like this next one. So stick with Football for Dummies and give it a watch.